What's going on, guys? So comparing our active and our passive range of motion, we're going to be setting up in a 90-90 position. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to work on one side, but we can test external rotation, active versus passive in our front leg, and then internal rotation, active versus passive in our trail leg. So if you haven't already done our active range of motion test, I would advise you to go do that. We're not really looking at range of motion here. What we're doing is trying to compare just that, our active versus our passive range of motion. So with my front leg, testing external rotation. The more upright I am, the harder it's going to be to get into that position because my hip is already externally rotated. For the sake of this test, just find a comfortable position. For me, I need to brace myself out in order to kind of keep my foot up off the ground. Again, starting position we're not really concerned with. What we're concerned with is how much our foot drops. So what I'm going to do, making sure my hip and my knee stay planted on the ground. I'm going to grab my foot, lift my foot as high as I can with just my arm. So I'm really trying to find that end range passive external rotation. From here, I'm going to contract everything I think is going to hold this hip here. I'm going to let go, see how much it drops. Ideally, there is little to no drop. So if I do drop off, like I dropped off quite a bit, that gap, this whole gap right here is a motor control gap. And so it's an area that I need to bridge that just bridge that gap. So work on not necessarily my passive range of motion, more so my active range of motion. On the other side, looking at our trail leg, same setup. Now we're going to be just working on our trail leg. So pulling that back heel up off the ground. Again, I do not care how high up it goes. That is what our active range of motion tests are for. What I care about is how high up I can pull it. And then when I release, how much it drops. So again, decent little drop off here. Definitely something I need to focus on. And if I do see that gap, it just shows me that I need to spend a little bit more time on my hips.